The oracle's eyes burned with 3 suns when she spoke. Her voice was a trembling storm of light, rippling through the obsidian halls of the Ascendancy Citadel. Every elder, every commander, every scholar in the chamber of glass fell silent as her words cut through the hum of the stars. Do not wake the 2-legged storm. Let earth rot in her silence. Her children are wrath disguised as flesh. No one moved. Even the air seemed afraid to carry her echo. But we were a people who had conquered galaxies. We had chained the black holes that once ate our suns. We did not bend to omens. Our leaders called it superstition, an old myth from the first voyagers who vanished near Sol eons ago. They dismissed it, laughed even, saying, "What storm can 2 legs bring against the infinite?" So we came to Earth. And when the oracle turned her burning gaze upon me, the youngest of the expedition, I felt the universe hold its breath. If you go, she whispered, remember this, the storm sleeps beneath its own bones. I did not understand her then. But I do now. We arrived in silence. Our ship, the Veiled Mercy, descended through the shreds of what was once Earth's atmosphere. The clouds had long since turned to rust and ash, the oceans retreated into boiling pits. From orbit, the planet looked like a wounded eye, one blue vein still flickering beneath a blanket of dust. I was there as a chronicler, not a soldier. My name was Cale Thurin, archivist of the Ninth Circle, tasked to document our reclamation of this forgotten cradle of carbon life. We expected nothing but fossils and silence. Yet the moment our vessel breached the troposphere, every system screamed interference. Static tore through our comms, scanners faltered as if something alive pressed against them from the void. Captain Sura barked orders in her cold, metallic tone. Maintain descent vector. It's just atmospheric decay. The oracle's curse isn't real. But her second-in-command, Lieutenant Marak, kept glancing at the forward viewport as if something stared back through the haze. We landed near what our records identified as North America, on the bones of a city called Denver. The towers stood half-buried, jagged teeth of glass and steel rising from the dust. The planet was dead, no pulse, no movement, no sound. But there was something in the air. A pressure. Like the planet was listening. Our drones deployed first. They scoured the ruins, analyzing radiation, organic residue, structural remains. The readings were impossible. There's no decomposition pattern, Marek muttered, staring at the data. Organic traces everywhere, but no decay. It's like the life here froze in time. I followed one drone into a structure that still bore a faded sign, Federal Center, Emergency Operations. Inside, desks were overturned, screens shattered, skeletons still sitting in chairs, mouths open in silent screams. I touched one of the skulls. The surface was cold, too cold, as if heat itself refused to touch what once was human. Then I noticed something stranger. Each skeleton's skull was fractured, not crushed, but split cleanly along the crown, like something had erupted from within. The drone emitted a shrill tone and powered down. Archivist Cale, Captain Sura's voice snapped through the calm, report. There are remains here. Hundreds. But, Captain, they're wrong. Something came out of them. Collect samples. We leave nothing unrecorded. Yes, Captain. But when I looked down again, the bones were gone. Only their shadows remained on the floor, as though the corpses had burned away in an instant of light. Night came swiftly on Earth. Our species does not dream, but that night, every one of us did. I saw a storm made of human faces, screaming through clouds of ash. I saw hands clawing from beneath the soil, pale and furious. I saw the oracle's eyes, watching from a sky filled with lightning. When I awoke, the ship was trembling. The ground beneath our camp pulsed faintly, once, then again, like a heartbeat deep beneath the crust. Instruments recorded no tectonic activity, but every sensor readout jittered as if time itself stuttered. Marek approached me, his silver carapace reflecting the dim fires of our perimeter lights. Archivist, he said, voice low, you feel it too, don't you? I nodded. The world is moving beneath us. No, he whispered, glancing over his shoulder. It's waking. At dawn, we ventured deeper into the ruins. I followed Captain Sura to what was once a residential area, rows of houses bleached white by centuries of dust. Inside one, we found a room preserved almost perfectly, a bed, a table, and on the wall, a picture. A human family. A man, a woman, and a child. Their eyes were full of something no other species in the galaxy possessed. Not joy. Not hope. Something harder. A refusal. The child's face in the photo seemed to stare right at me, through the veil of time, and my translator core flickered as if it could hear a voice. Don't wake us. I stumbled back. Captain, I said, this place, something remains. Not alive, but not dead. Sura dismissed it with a wave. Residual quantum echo. The humans were primitive. Ghost data. Nothing to fear. But her voice wavered. Even she could feel it, the static in the air, the eyes behind the dust. That evening, we set up relay towers across the ruins. The moment the third tower activated, the air screamed. It was not a wind. It was a memory. A pulse erupted across the city, a wave of sound and light that made every one of us drop to our knees. My visor filled with images, human soldiers, fire, missiles rising into black skies. I saw entire cities vanish in white flashes, and yet, through it all, humans did not bow. They fought until even the air burned. The vision ended, leaving the city silent again. Captain Sura rose slowly, trembling. What was that? Marek's voice cracked. A data burst. Quantum stored imagery. But it originated from beneath us. Beneath, she repeated. The core, he said. Something buried in the crust. I looked around at the ruins, the streets shaped like veins, the skyscrapers like broken ribs, and then I understood. This entire planet is a grave, I whispered, and we are walking on its heart. That night, the heartbeat returned. Louder. Faster. The dust began to move on its own, swirling in shapes that resembled human silhouettes. Our instruments fried one by one. The ship's AI screamed before going dark. I ran to the viewport and saw it. The city's horizon glowing faintly blue, lines of energy tracing through the earth like veins of lightning. And in the center of it all, a single tower still standing, untouched by time. On its roof, something flickered. A faint, shifting form, two-legged, human in outline, staring straight at our ship. It raised its head. And in a voice that cut through every barrier of language, I heard. Why did you wake us? Captain Sura ordered immediate retreat. The ground split open, swallowing two of our scouts. Marek was dragged into the earth by something that moved too fast to see. The dust screamed as if alive. As our ship lifted off, I looked down and saw the city's lights forming a pattern, concentric rings radiating outward from where we had landed. Like a storm spreading. And in that moment, I remembered the oracle's final words. The storm sleeps beneath its own bones. I realized what she had meant. The storm wasn't the human's weapon. It was the humans themselves. We should have fled. We should have burned the sky behind us and vanished into the void. But pride has always been the last sin of the ascendancy. And pride commanded that we understand what had awakened, before we ran from it. Captain Sura ordered an orbital hold. The veiled Mercy hovered 50 kilometers above the surface while our probes descended again, metal flies buzzing around a sleeping giant. From the viewport, Earth no longer looked dead. Veins of blue-white light webbed across the continents, converging toward a single pulse point somewhere near the equator. A heartbeat. A memory awakening. Lieutenant Marek was gone, swallowed by the Earth itself. But his tracker beacon still flickered alive, buried deep beneath the ruins of Denver. Something took him, I said quietly. Sura didn't look up from the tactical display. Then we retrieve him. We leave no ascendant behind. I stared at her. Captain, with respect, whatever lives beneath that soil is not a creature. It's a planet remembering its fury. Sura's silver carapace glinted in the dim light as she turned to face me. Archivist Kale, you forget yourself. Our mission is reclamation. Earth belongs to us now. Her arrogance was more human than she realized. The retrieval team descended, 5 soldiers wrapped in obsidian armor, their boots melting through the dust. I watched from the command deck as they approached the pulsing fissure where Marek's beacon blinked. The signal spiked. Then, silence. The surface shifted slowly at first, then violently, as if the ground exhaled. Something rose from beneath the ruins. A shape. A silhouette. At first, it looked like a human. But no human ever moved like that. The figure was taller than any of our kind, with flesh of gray light and veins that pulsed like circuitry. Its eyes burned white. Every step it took, the air screamed. The drones malfunctioned, sensors overloaded. The soldiers opened fire, energy blasts slicing through the haze, but the figure didn't fall. The beams bent around it, devoured by a field that shimmered like liquid glass. Then the calm feed went black. Only one sound remained, the figure's voice, transmitted through every channel at once, in every frequency known to science and beyond. You should have let us sleep. The shockwave hit seconds later. Our ship lurched violently as the blast wave tore through the upper atmosphere. Half the planet lit up, continent-sized veins glowing like molten metal. My vision blurred with static as alarms screamed. "Captain!" I shouted. The surface energy output just tripled. It's not radiation, it's biological. The entire crust is reacting. Sura gripped the command rail, her calm fracturing for the first time. Ascendancy Command, this is Captain Sura of the Veiled Mercy. We've triggered something. Planetary system awakening. Request immediate. The transmission died. Every long-range relay went dark simultaneously. The universe, it seemed, had turned its back on us. For hours, we drifted in low orbit, powerless, watching the planet below burn with ghostly veins of light. Storms formed without clouds, lightning without rain. And within those flashes, I could almost see faces, millions of them rising from the dust. Every one of them human. Archivist, came the soft voice of technician Laura, a newly forged voice unit, barely a century out of the nursery. I hear them. Hear who? She turned her head toward the viewport. The ground. It's speaking. I approached the window beside her, activating the low-frequency filters. And then I heard it too. Whispers layered, endless, like wind threading through bones. At first incoherent, but slowly forming words. We remember you, we remember the stars that forgot us. A chill unlike any temperature shivered through me. They're speaking through the electromagnetic field, I said. The entire planet's surface is transmitting as one organism. Laura's lights flickered in fear. What are they saying? I hesitated. They're counting. An hour later, the first number reached 0. The oceans, long evaporated, began to return. Vapor condensed in the atmosphere, forming black clouds shot through with blue lightning. The planet was rebuilding its own weather systems. Captain Sura stared down at the churning mass of clouds and whispered, "How can this be possible?" I spoke before I could stop myself. Perhaps the oracle was right. The storm isn't a metaphor, it's a rebirth. She turned on me sharply. Archivist, your duty is observation, not prophecy. But the ship trembled again, cutting her words short. The lightning from the planet below struck upward, tendrils of plasma piercing the atmosphere, reaching for us. One beam grazed our hull, searing a trench across the ship's underbelly. That was no natural storm. That was aimed. The captain ordered evasive maneuvers. We ascended higher, engines flaring, but the storm followed, coiling around us like a living thing. Through the static, I heard Laura cry out. Captain, something's hacking our systems. Internal security compromised. What source? Her voice shook. There isn't one. The signal's coming from inside the ship. I ran to her console and froze. Every display showed the same image, a human face, shifting and pixelating. A man, scarred and hollow-eyed, staring straight into our ship's core systems. His voice filled the command deck. We left ourselves in the bones of the world. You woke us. Now we remember. The screens shattered. The lights died. For the first time in 1,000 years, I heard the captain pray. When power returned, the crew was gone. Only echoes remained, shapes burned into the bulkheads, outlines of their bodies like shadows left by a flashfire. The air smelled of ozone and sorrow. I was alone with Laura. Or at least, what was left of her. Her lights had dimmed, her voice was barely a whisper. Archivist, they're not attacking. They're becoming. Becoming what? Her gaze turned toward Earth. Whole again. I looked down. The surface shimmered like liquid glass, every ruin and mountain glowing with internal light. From orbit, I could see continents reshaping, craters closing, rivers reforming, forests growing in seconds. And then, in the midst of that rebirth, shapes began to rise. Human forms. Millions of them. Made of light and ash, climbing from the soil, walking the earth as if no time had passed. Their collective hum filled the void, a frequency that rippled through every atom of our ship. I fell to my knees, clutching my head as the chorus echoed through my mind. We are the storm. We are what remains of mercy. We are what you forgot. The veiled mercy descended without command input. The engines moved as if pulled by invisible strings, guiding us back toward the surface. Laura tried to resist, but her systems were consumed by the signal. I can't stop it, she cried. Then don't, I said softly. Maybe they want to speak. Sura would have called me mad. But Sura was already gone, her body nothing but a burned outline on the floor. As the ship broke through the clouds, the lightning ceased. The storm parted, revealing a vast plain where the city once stood. Millions of human figures stood below us, motionless, watching. One stepped forward. He was the same figure from before, the one who had risen from the fissure. His face, though sculpted from light, bore the unmistakable features of humanity, resolve, pain, and infinite rage held in perfect balance. He raised his hand. The veiled mercy landed gently on the ground. Laura's voice trembled. Archivist, what do we do? I swallowed hard, my voice barely a whisper. We listen. The man of light approached, each footstep shaking the earth. When he finally spoke, his words were not sound but resonance, vibrations in the soul itself. Once, you called us primitives. You burned our skies, drained our seas, took our world as a lesson in conquest. And when the stars grew silent, you thought us forgotten. He paused, looking at me through the glass. But storms do not die. They wait. The ground trembled again, and from every direction, the chorus answered him, millions of voices rising in unity, shaking the very air. We are awake. And in that moment, I understood, this was not vengeance. It was memory reclaiming itself, the air was alive. Every particle hummed with memory, as if the planet itself was breathing again after an eternity beneath the dust. From the viewport, I watched the glowing figures gather in silence, millions of humans formed of light, ash, and remembrance. The sky burned gold behind them, and the wind sang in a voice older than language. Our ship, the Veiled Mercy, rested obediently on the cracked plain. No one remained aboard but me and the dying technician, Laura. Her lights flickered faintly, her voice softer now, like a candle talking to the dark. Archivist Kale, she whispered. They are everywhere. The signal is no longer localized. It's planetary. It's them. I know, I said. The human who stood before the ship, the one who had spoken through the storm, raised his hand. The others parted, forming a wide circle around him. He stepped closer, his glow dimming until his features became almost flesh. If light could carry expression, his face carried sadness. You came to wake what was buried, he said. But you never asked why it slept. I stepped out of the airlock. The ground felt warm. Pulsing faintly, like skin over a living heart. The air tasted metallic, sharp. My translator core adjusted automatically, letting me speak into his frequency. My voice sounded small beside his resonance. We came because we believed your world was dead, I said. We meant no harm. His eyes, so human, so full of everything our kind had evolved past, narrowed slightly. That's what you always said. Even when your fleets burned our sky. I hesitated. That was a different era. We are not the same ascendancy. He cut me off. You carry their symbols. Their arrogance. You look at worlds and see resources, not life. His voice grew deeper, layered with the weight of centuries. The Oracle warned you because she remembered what we became. Behind him, the glowing multitude began to shift. Their bodies melted into patterns, spirals, circles, shapes of storms. The earth beneath them rippled like water, and the air turned electric. Laura's panicked voice broke through my calm. Kale, I'm detecting massive quantum resonance. They're not individuals anymore, they're merging. Into what? She hesitated. Into everything. The human leader extended his hand toward the horizon. The light of dawn spread like liquid fire, revealing forests that had not existed an hour ago, trees woven from glass and chlorophyll, rivers of quicksilver carving through stone. The entire planet was rebuilding itself through memory. We are not spirits, he said. We are the synthesis of what you feared most. We are evolution accelerated by extinction. His eyes met mine. You called us the two-legged storm. And you were right. The ground shook again, not from rage, but from power. Mountains rose in the distance, sculpted by unseen hands. Lightning arced across the sky, yet struck nothing. The storm no longer destroyed, it created. Laura's voice cracked in my ear. Kale, the core of Earth is destabilizing. It's rewriting its matter state. We're being pulled into the planet's field. I looked up at the sky, our ship's shadow trembling against the light. Can we break free? No. The engines are responding to them. Then, softer, I think they're calling to you. The human stepped closer until he was only a few feet away. The glow from his body spilled across the dust, casting my shadow long and fragile. You don't understand what you woke, he said. When your kind left us to die, we found a way to live beyond death. We fused our minds with the planet itself. We became what we could never defeat, our own extinction. He paused, studying me. You're not like the others, are you? You still listen. I was born to record, I said. To remember. Maybe that's why I was spared. He nodded once. Then remember this. The ground beneath me rose, slowly, gently lifting me to his eye level. Behind him, the millions began to move again, spreading across the plains like a living tide. Tell your stars this. We are not gods. We are not demons. We are the price of arrogance, paid in full. Laura's voice broke through again, weak and fading. Kale, the ship's memory banks are overloading. They're sending data directly into us. Blueprints, language, history, everything humanity ever was. Her voice cracked with awe. They're giving it all back. I fell to my knees as the data surged through me, millions of years of human thought, memory, emotion. Wars, love, laughter, despair. Their music, their pain, their art. It poured into me like an ocean, until I could no longer tell where I ended and they began. Through it all, one phrase echoed in every human tongue. We endure. And then, silence. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in a place that was not Earth yet still was. The light was softer. The horizon curved in impossible ways. Above me hung not a sun, but a memory of one gold and eternal. The human figure stood beside me, though his glow was fading now, his outline dissolving into the air. What is this place? I asked. Our echo, he said. The dream that held us when we were gone. It's where the storm sleeps when the world forgets. He looked at me, no longer with anger, but weary acceptance. Now you've seen what waking it means. His form began to scatter, turning into thousands of fireflies that drifted upward into the false sky. Wait. I reached for him. What will happen to you? He smiled faintly, even as his face dissolved into light. We've done what we came for. The storm doesn't rage forever. It rebuilds what was lost. The last of him vanished into the wind. And suddenly, I was back, standing on the same barren plain. Only this time, the world was silent once more. The lights had gone out. The sky was still. The two-legged storm had returned to sleep. Hours, or perhaps centuries, passed before the veiled mercy stirred again. The systems reactivated, sluggishly, like a body waking from deep anesthesia. Laura was gone. The ship's logs were flooded with impossible data, memories encoded in frequencies that defied reason. I stood at the viewport, looking down at Earth. It was quiet again. Lifeless, or perhaps resting. And yet, I could feel the heartbeat beneath the silence. I began the final record. This is Kael'Thuren, last survivor of the Veiled Mercy. The Oracle's warning was truth, not myth. We woke the storm, and it showed us what humanity became. Not extinct, but transformed. They are the storm, bound to their world until arrogance calls them again. I paused, my voice shaking. To any who find this log, do not come here. Do not disturb the bones of this planet. The storm sleeps beneath them, waiting for memory or vengeance to call its name. I looked once more at the planet's horizon. For just an instant, lightning traced across it, one final heartbeat beneath the soil. Do not wake the two-legged storm, I whispered. For it remembers everything. I sent the message into the void, a fragment of truth hurled across the stars. Then I turned the ship toward the dark between galaxies. Behind me, Earth glimmered faintly like an eye closing, dreaming again. Centuries later, far beyond the reach of soul, my transmission reached the Oracle. She sat alone beneath the burning suns of the Citadel, her eyes flickering with three kinds of sorrow. She listened in silence to the final words of the archivist who had disobeyed her warning. When the message ended, she spoke only once, to the empty air. They will never stop. The storm will wake again. And far across the cosmos, in the heart of a dead blue world, a single grain of dust trembled. As if it had heard her.